I'm just making sure this works right now. So, right. I'll see you at 7 o'clock. Mr. Daisy, that's what I need. Hello there, if you've just joined, I'll be going live in about 5 minutes. That's 5 minutes. Thank you. Boom. That's high tech. I didn't know how to sort of stop the camera without ending the stream. And also the mute button as well came in handy. So use my trusty glass cleaners thingy, cloth, which then went over the camera. Job done. What can I say? It's all high tech, and I'm impressed with myself, to be honest. So I'm going to start chatting about stuff in about 5 or so minutes. Sadly, my Traveller game got cancelled this evening. Nobody's fault. It's just one of those things that happens. And the older you get with gaming, the more this happens. And it is upsetting and it's a bit frustrating sometimes, but not a lot you can do about it, really. So everybody's okay. And that's the main thing. And it's nothing that can't wait. So, but the Traveller campaign that I'm running at the moment, I think I'm going to be bringing that to a close, or at least wind it down to put it on a long hiatus. And yeah, because I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm enjoying it. I am really enjoying it. It's really, really good. But recently, I've got the fantasy vibe. Watching a lot of Lord of the Rings. I rewatched Robin Sherwood recently, and yeah, I just want to get back into it. And what I have been doing as well is buying. Oh, actually, no, I'll show it off in a bit. Actually, I've been picking up the Decipher Lord of the Rings books from 2002, 2003. Decipher did the Star Trek role-playing game, which I really liked, using their coder system, and they also then did Lord of the Rings, which I also liked. In fact, it's probably one of my favourites. I think probably the best role-playing game for Lord of the Rings is The One Ring, because it thematically and it really captures the essence of Middle Earth as a whole. And I love MERP, but the system. But I love MERP because of all the supplements mainly. The game system wasn't great for it, especially the magic system was just atrocious. But yeah, Decipher Lord of the Rings is really good, and I played it a couple of times. Excuse me, but I didn't give it a fair shake. I didn't sit down at the table with it properly to have to really get under the skin of it. So let me just sort my hair out. Do I look all right? Oh no, my beard almost looks lopsided, doesn't it? That's almost weird. Anyway, sorry. So yeah, so there's that. So another couple of minutes. Yeah, I'm just going to chat about getting emotionally involved with role-playing games, as in sort of getting attached to the characters and the stories and that sort of thing. Because it's happened to me a few times, and I know it's happened to other people, and not just in my game. So yeah, I think it'd be a half decent thing to talk about. And I've not made a video for a while. Just not really been feeling it. I've done 20 and about 3 live streams, all in quick succession. But that's just my anxiety. The more I think about it, the less inclined I am to do it. Does that make sense? Because all I think about is what's going to happen, what's going to go wrong, and then that kicks in, and the imposter syndrome kicks in, and it's just a mess, really. So yeah, so I haven't really, after my big Lord of the Rings video, 20 minutes. Yeah, there he is though. Hello. Hello, Oliver. How are you doing, mate? How is things? It's everybody. I mean, I've clicked mute, but it keeps telling me that I'm not getting any. Oh, you can hear me. Oh, that's good. For some strange reason, I'm not getting any feed on that little green thing with the microphone. Nothing's happening. So if anybody can hear me, okay, then that's fine. I don't want to get too close. I don't want you looking at my nose. So how long we got now? Just about a minute. I did say 7 o'clock. So I came on early because I still haven't got to grips yet with setting up the camera and the live stream to actually going live. So there's like a countdown and stuff like that. Because as far as video making is concerned, I am pretty shit because I'm just using a camera with a microphone built into it. Because I'm not taking this that seriously. So yeah. Oh mate, I'm sorry to hear that Star Wars game got cancelled. Oh, and you put the interview back. Oh, you already got it set up. Oliver in the chat, RX Oliver, he's got this. He's got his own YouTube channel. You'll see it in the Friends of Farsight Games at the bottom. Just click on that and go and subscribe if you will. He's got this thing called the Evolution of RPGs, like a little series that he's doing. He's on season 2 now, I think. And he interviewed me last week, which was a really good. It was a good little chat, and it's nice to sit down and speak to somebody, a fellow gamer who's passionate about the hobby and other things besides. So yeah, it was a good little chat. So that's premiering at 8, probably around about the time I finish this. So by all means, shoot over to RX Oliver. Like I say, you'll find the link at the bottom of here. You'll find the link in the description. No, you won't. You'll find it at the bottom of my main landing page for YouTube. And yeah, go over and have a look at some of his previous interviews as well. And a lot of the game, he's got lots of actual plays, which are pretty sweet. So more than you'll be doing yourself more than a favour going to have a look. Anyway, it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to get started because I've just been waffling on about nothing, and I've got to stop doing that because I don't like these long intros to games, to videos, because it's a waste of everybody's time, isn't it? Really, I'm literally just chatting shit. So I'm going to crack on with what I was going to talk about, and what I was going to talk about was getting emotionally involved in tabletop role-playing games, getting emotionally invested with characters and plots and stories and settings and all sorts. Now, that's something that's... Evening, Britt, how you doing? Now, that's something that's something that's happened to me a few times, getting emotionally involved. When I first started gaming, tabletop role-playing, I wasn't involved at all. To me, each character was just a playing piece. Because that's just the way that they came across to me in Dungeons and Dragons. I need to turn the desk fan on. If it's loud, if it's intrusive, make sure to let me know, please, in the chat. And yeah, so I treat them all as playing pieces. So 2 men enter, 1 man leaves. As soon as one died, another one would just take over. So it didn't really bother me at all. And then Star Wars came out, and I already had a pre-existing character called Gogoletti, who I used in the Star Wars games. So I kind of went into that sort of prepared and ready to go. But I think I didn't get properly emotionally involved with gaming until Merp in 1988, 89. And I created a character for Tolkien's vast creation. I talked about this in my other video, called Tyr Song, and he was quite a well-defined character. He was a scout, quite a well-defined character as far as his stats were concerned. Pretty good in a fight, pretty good shots. You know what I mean? Sort of jack of all trades, master of none. But I never created a background for him. He literally just turned up at the end of the last bridge in the Troll Shores for the first adventure out of the box set. He literally just turned up at the bridge and then started adventuring. And he just wanted to be a good person. He wanted to help. You know what I mean? He understood that the world was bigger than just him and what was happening outside of his own, wherever he came from, and never actually decided where he came from in Middle Earth. He just wanted to be. He just wanted to be a good person. He just wanted to be a hero. He wasn't interested in plaudits or anything like that. He just wanted to quest and adventure. And as he went on, and loads of different things happened to him. So loads of characters came in. There were the brothers Eomer and Eren. There was Minister, who was dual wielding. He went up against an evil guy called Kilmaton. You know what I mean? And then the games went on for a year and a half. And as the games went through seasons. So every new adventure was like the following year or a few months later. So he was getting older. And then he met an elven maiden and fell in love. They had children. And then I just retired him. He actually ended up buying the end of the last bridge and becoming its landlord and running it from there. And I became so emotionally invested in this character based on what was happening in the game, what was happening to him. You can liken that sort of thing to having a favourite character in a book or having a favourite character in a movie. You can become emotionally attached to those characters for a lot of reasons. And I think that's what happened to me with Tyr Song. It was the first time I'd ever been in a situation where the character that I created was just so well defined. I mean, in a way, he was an extension of me because I just wanted to explore Middle Earth as me, and I was doing it through Tyr Song. But as the games went on and his story started to unfold and he was doing many different things and having lots of adventures, I just loved him. And then I remember getting extremely tight-chested and short-breathed when he got into certain situations and there was a good chance that he was going to die. And I would just go into panic mode. You know what I mean? These people are waiting on him. Is he going to get beaten to death? Is he going to fall off this cliff? He's just fell off a horse. Every time somebody rolled a critical against him and then rolled on the critical chart tables, this was MERP, so everything was a table. I panicked. I was having panic attacks, which it sounds a little bit strange, but I was so emotionally attached to the character, I couldn't help myself. Sorry, very last minute, just drinking the choice of the new generation, cherry, and. I got directly involved, and then I got involved with the story. The story was fantastic that was unfolding, and it wasn't just about him; it was about his friends and his family and the people that he knew, people that he'd met and come across during his travels. And then I remember there was a raid on a tower. I think that was in the original box set as well, in the Troll Shores. And I hired some people to go with me. We got into a bit of a fight. I remember running away from the tower and taking a snapshot at an arrow slit. And I rolled so high on the critical, he went straight through the arrow slit and killed the guy that was shooting at us. Spot on. You see, I remember those moments really well. So we're running away, and then we had to abandon, unfortunately, one of the guys that I'd hired. He'd been injured, and we thought he was dead. Turns out he wasn't dead. And he managed to crawl his way out and died in the arms of his brother, who then swore revenge. So, like in the game, years later, he caught up with me and had sort of set up this plot to kill me. And I couldn't figure out what was going on until the name came up, and I was thinking, I'm pretty sure I've heard that name somewhere before. And then I'm into my notes, and I'm like, oh my God, that's the guy that I hired. Who is this guy? And then I find out that it's this guy's brother, this hireling's brother, who's come for revenge because he blames me for the death of his older brother. So that's just brilliant. That's story investments. That's the GM getting involved. And then sort of me sort of reacting to that. And it makes my character feel alive. It felt like his choices and his judgments and everything about him actually had meaning, and his character had agency, which I think is very important in role-playing games. The characters should have some control they should have agency over the story. They shouldn't control the story. Of course not. The story adapts to their decisions and on what happens and their dice rolls. But you give that kind of control to a player, and they feel as though they're actually making a difference and they're actually in control. Yeah, it makes all the difference to a game. But yeah, TSO Sung. In fact, I got so scared of him dying because I was so attached to him, I just retired him. So, and that was that. So yeah, it's brilliant. So, and then I also had another character, Goa Galetti, who was in the Star Wars. But that was an emotional investment of a different kind. I was working through some personal issues at the time, and he was kind of my sort of edgelord emo sort of outlet of all these dark thoughts I was having. I was a teenager, so yeah, that he kind of helped me get through that. Strange, I was doing that in the Star Wars game, but to be fair, Vampire the Masquerade hadn't come out yet, so I didn't have much choice. So yeah, that was good. That was a great character. And there was another one called Matthew Haskin in Mech Warrior, and he was basically on his own behind enemy lines in Cretan space, fighting his way out in basically what do you call it, like a suburban area. And the drama with him was the moral choices he had to make. Like, do I kill this innocent civilian because he's going to rat on me? You know what I mean? This guy's tied up. Do I kill him because I'm deep behind enemy lines? Do I take those risks? And that was a really, really good game, full of action. Really, really good. I remember one scene of I was chucking grenades into rooms, kicking the door open, chucking the grenade in, going and spraying with my Roaring X. And one of the rooms I went into was an armory full of explosives. And I threw the grenade, and then my GM Paul was saying, if it goes into slow motion, as you see the words TNT, it was a very sort of Acme sort of Roadrunner moment. So that was brilliant. But yeah, great games. Really, really enjoyable. So I think as far as getting emotionally involved with games are concerned, it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's really, really good. It can make for extremely passionate and really involved games, because the moment you get emotionally involved with the character is the moment that the story is going to take all kinds of different turns, and your decisions are going to be based on how you feel and not what you can get out of the game. When I was first role playing, it was what treasure will I get? What experience will I get? Is it a magic sword? How much gold is that? What can I spend at the tavern? It was always about the rewards, like a normal board game. Because of course we were still in normal board game mode, because we still didn't fully understand what a role playing game was. And in many respects, the game Dungeons and Dragons is still about that. It's about the rewards that you get from that and how your character increases. But the character increases are more based on statistics, and they're more based on numbers, and they're more based on probability than they are about actual emotional growth or character development. And you'll find that the moment you get emotionally attached to a character, all those stats and everything on the page will go out the window, and it'll be about emotional and character development and the story and the way the story moves forward. And yeah, I think that's absolutely fantastic. What I don't like about emotional involvement in games is when it becomes almost like a therapy session. And I'm kind of guilty of that. So way back in the time. Good evening, Angela. I'm kind of guilty that way because I used to work through my own personal problems through characters. So if I was feeling frustrated, I take that frustrations out in the game, which is not entertaining for anyone. It doesn't entertain anyone. It might be good for you, and I know it was good for me in certain respects, but there's other people at the table. So yes, I did use your Sunday name. Deal with it, Mrs. Thomas. All right, Pirate. So yes, and that's just what I did back then. That's how I worked through problems. And I'm going to have to say, don't. Role playing isn't a therapy session. It helps. I'm not going to lie to that. It does help in a lot of respects. Allows you to work through things in your head. It allows an escape from what it is that's bothering you. That's really good. But if you're there, then the attention's on you, because it's basically the Jonathan Hiss, oh shit, I've got a problem hour. Then people don't want to, you're not the only one at the table. And also that I don't think it's that healthy. I think like I say, I think it does help, but I don't think it's healthy, because you're basically taking one problem in real life and putting it into a made-up story, and you put it into an unreality, and you're not going to get the same sort of closure out of that than you will in real life. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, to be honest with you. As a GM, sometimes I get a little bit not conscientious, what do you call it? Not even, I won't even say an embarrassed. That's a terrible word to use. I'll get a little bit nervous when people start getting emotional at the table. If it's all about the game, that's fine. But if it's about something else, then I tend to steer them away and sort of lighten the mood or change stuff, because the anxiety that they must be feeling, sort of trying to deal with what they're going through a player character, then I can feel that, and so can everybody else around the table. So I would allow it to an extent, but I couldn't make a game out of it. I'm not a psychotherapist, so I don't know where you draw the line between I'm not feeling very well today to I'm going to deal with this by murdering orcs. So you know what I mean? I wouldn't know how to approach it. So yeah. All right, Not, how you doing? So yeah. Anyway, so the analogy is being emotionally involved in the game is absolutely fantastic, because like the same way you get emotionally involved with books, the same way you get emotionally involved with movies, the same way you get emotionally involved with TV shows. Yeah, there's certain elements of what you're watching and what you're experiencing that really means something to you. And the same can be said for role-playing games, and even more so because you're directly responsible for that character. You created that character, you possibly gave it a 20-page background. You've brought that character to life, and in some respects there's elements of that character that are you're expressing yourself through that character. So just by creating the character, there's already some form of emotional attachment, and then when you're actually playing the character and things are going well or going bad, dramatically bad, and that emotion can get ramped up. So I don't think you can avoid getting emotionally attached to characters, and sometimes I do get sad when I have got sad when characters die. I got sad when Gogoleti died, or sacrificed himself to save others. I got sad when Bad Luck Beyond Odys was killed. When Mornard Winter died, my character in Warhammer, that was a bit sad, because I developed quite a nice character there, and I felt his life was cut short too soon. So yeah. Anyway, so guys, what do you think? If anybody's got any questions, what do you think about emotional involvement in role-playing games? Or maybe, actually, what time is it now? 7:15. I kind of said my piece on that now. So, and I kind of meandered a little bit, as you do during your live broadcast. So if anybody's got any questions they want to chuck at me, anything they want to mention, anything they want to point, if you've got any news, that's brilliant. In fact, I've got some news that will just have a chip. Let me just have a sip of my Choice of the New Generation. I want to do Lord of the Rings again, because I'm emotionally involved with Lord of the Rings, as I said in my number 20 video recently. It means a lot to me on a lot of levels. It helped me through a difficult time in my early teens. It's a form of escapism. It's a rich, detailed world which I'm absolutely in love with, and I don't think there's anything quite like it. I think it's absolutely just a wonderful, wonderful creation. It's a place that I want to walk. If you ask me to choose a place to live in, it would be Middle-earth. Now, I've played a lot of the role-playing games. I've got Merp here. I've got the One Ring down here, both versions. And I've also got the 5th edition Adventures in Middle-earth down here as well. Hi, Mercurius. How you doing? But what I used to have was the Decipher books. When the Lord of the Rings movie came out, Decipher, who have been doing Star Trek: The Next Generation, I only had the core rule book of that, but they'd done a pretty good job, actually. That was really, really good. But never got to play it, which is really frustrating. So what they did was they got the license for the Lord of the Rings, and they used the same system, the Coda system. Oh my Lord, that's a lot heavier than I thought it was going to be. Goodbye shoulder. So I'm running Traveller at the moment. Well, not tonight, obviously, but I'm running Traveller at the moment. But I would really like to run a Lord of the Rings game. And of course, I automatically looked at Merp, but Merp's a little bit too complicated because it's basically cut down Rollmaster. And as much as I'd love to run that, I wouldn't want to run it for more than 1 or 2 players because of the complicated system. And it's just too much to explain. There's charts and tables, and it's just bloody annoying, to be honest with you. So I didn't want to do One Ring because I really love the One Ring, and it's probably the best Lord of the Rings role-playing game because, like I was saying earlier, it captures the theme and the essence of it. But I don't think I ever gave the Coda system a fair shakedown on the table. So, hey, Quantum, how you doing? So I went out and bought it again. Managed to pick this up from World of Books, in case you're wondering. £18, very good, and it's in almost new condition as well. So, is it too soon to bring up 4th edition Forgotten Realms? It's always too soon, Lloyd, always. So, although to be honest with you, I actually quite like the source book. The Neverwinter source book was pretty good as well. Actually, it's a good campaign setting, but the hell with the spell plague. Sorry, I don't like cataclysmic events. Yeah, it's a really good looking book. One thing that does frustrate me about it is that, of course, they use stills from the movie, as you would, because it's a licensed product for the movie. Some of the stills look a little bit blurred, but when you go on a few pages, let me just get past this lot here. They do have an artist whose name I will look up in just a second, if I can find it. And basically, the artwork's fantastic. And it's frustrated me because I'm like, why couldn't you have used the artwork all the way through? Why can't I find it now? Where is it? I was literally looking at it about a minute ago. Here we go. So, the artwork, sorry about the quality, it's not great. I think the artwork's absolutely fantastic. Obviously, he's taking his cue from the films. And basically just, yeah, brilliant. And I would love to have seen that throughout the book. I mean, the artwork is really dynamic. Really good images. So, really good. Yeah, probably might have been too time consuming, but then when you look at some of the stills that they used in here, they're quite obvious, and some of them as well, I don't know, I just don't like them. Of course, the films are works of genius. I love the films, but I don't know. It's just they just don't stand out. And some of the text as well. You got white on black text, and then black text on a gradually greying page, and it can be difficult to read. But actually, I don't know why I'm being quite down on it. It is an excellent book. It's an excellent system. It's an excellent game. Let me just get the original art. It's by Kieran Yanna. And yeah, done a cracking job there, mate. Really good to make sure I got that right. Yes, I have. Really, really good. So yeah, really good looking book. So instead of stopping there, I then went out and got the Fellowship of the Ring source book, which is really good, as a matter of fact. There's not a lot you can do with it. You're basically just retracing the steps of the Fellowship throughout the first film. From what I've read anyway, I might be horribly mistaken. There might be other stuff in there. But there's plenty of stuff in there to give you information and inspiration for your own games. And then I picked this up, Fell Beasts and Wondrous Magic, which has got loads of monsters in it, with some stat blocks and some ideas for magic items and bits and bobs, which is actually really, really cool. I got this and the narrator's screen, which isn't bad, with an adventure in it. I got both of those from a place called Shop on the Borderlands in the UK. I think they're on the Welsh border. Really good pricing and really fast delivery, so I can recommend those, people. And then the Two Towers, I got the Two Towers and the Fellowship of the Ring sourcebook off eBay. Good prices. And then the Two Towers sourcebook, again, it's like the Fellowship of the Ring sourcebook. Now, there was other books made. There was Isengard. There was a Moria box set, which is too expensive at the moment. People are asking more than £100 for it because it was a 4-box set with all the details in. There's a book about Isengard. There was another one, Helm's Deep, as well. I don't know if that ever got printed, but sadly, they only came out as PDF. I think they got them all lined up to do, same with the Return of the King, but sadly, we never got printed, which is really, really frustrating. But I've reading through the system, yeah, and the code system is really, really good. There's some elements of old school sort of D&D with these stats and your skills and what have you. But it's a 2d6 target number roll, and yeah, and you can actually develop some really well developed characters. Oh, don't fall asleep, Quantum. I'm not that boring. Great. My self-confidence has gone straight down the shitter. So, but yeah, so if there's any game that I'm going to get emotionally involved with, it's going to be Lord of the Rings. It's going to be any Middle-earth game, really, because it's Lord of the Rings, and it means a lot to me. So I will have to be quite... it's going to sound really bad. I'm going to be quite strict about who I play with. Because I've still not got out of this mindset that people need to play Lord of the Rings in a certain way, and that's really bad, actually. In fact, now that I've said it out loud, that's actually a little bit toxic, because that's basically saying, sorry, you're not good enough. I don't care that you've got 45 years of role playing behind you. If you don't use these, eyes and thous during one of your battle speeches, you're not playing. You know what I mean? That's just ridiculous. So now that I've just said that out loud, I sound like a twat. So I'm just going to have to buckle down. I'm just going to have to deal with it. I'm just going to have to sit there and play the game, and people will have to play it the way that they want to. I mean, we'll have session 0, of course, so I can actually explain the kind of game that I'm looking for. And all I can do is hope that they sort of react to that and not give me what I want, but we can all sort of come to an agreement on how the game's played. Although saying that, if you don't play it my way, then you're out. Boom! So yeah. So that should be interesting. Gatekeepers forever. Oh, God, no. You can gatekeep your table. You can't gatekeep the hobby. That's what I say. That's me out loud. No, I think actually, Angela, I think you'd be actually really, really good. I think if you developed... I mean, you like Lord of the Rings, don't you? I think we've had this discussion before. So, no, I think you'll be absolutely fine. So... You can't always get what you want. No, you can't. You're absolutely right, Mercurius. You really, really can't. And there's no point in trying. In role playing, there's no point in trying. Role playing is subjective on every single level. You can't sit down and say this is definitively how you do it. This is how you play it, and this is the way things are going to be. Because then basically you're telling people not to have fun. You're basically telling people how to play the game. You can't do that. You can suggest things. You can say these are my preferences, and unless the players or the GMs going off the rails. Then yeah, you should get a decent game out of it. What's that? Sorry, Quantum Sheep, the first ever game I GM. What the Lord of the Rings role playing game? That's the first game you ever GM'd. It's actually it's a really good book. Actually, it's a neat little system. And the great thing about it as well, the same with games like Star Wars, the original role playing game, because it's based on a film franchise that was like the zeitgeist at the time. Everyone's on the same page as far as expectations of content. And visually as well, and aesthetically. So I think that's where I struggled with a lot of my early Merc games, Middle Earth games, was because everybody had a different idea about what Lord of the Rings was, how it looked, and stuff like that. I had one person who was playing it, basically everything was the Ralph Bakshi cartoon, so he was playing it a little bit strange. Another guy was a massive Alan Lee John Howe fan. He got all the calendars, so he had this kind of really sort of very stark, sort of ethereal attitude towards it. One guy enjoyed playing war games, so he came to it as the bash the bad guy, take the gold, basically a Dungeons and Dragons player. But when the film came out, I ran a game using Cthulhu Dark Ages, using this one by Stefan Gesbert, the original one. So it's its own rule book. So it was like a cut down rune quest, and it's actually probably one of the best games because there's no expectations, and yet people knew Lord of the Rings and the style and everything because of the movies. So as soon as everybody was on that same page, we all connected that way. It made the games a lot easier to run. Quantum Sheep, the first game I GM'd was Those Dark Places. Well done you. I was imagining a horrific alien adventure. I should bloody think so as well. My two players turned it into a comedy until I shocked them. Now that's great. And I'll tell you a quick anecdote with that. When Aliens came out in 1985, yes, it was 1985. I was 15 years, no, 1986. I do apologise. I was 15 years old, and me and Mark Newbold, my best mate in the entire world, his dad took us to see it in Warsaw. Don't know why I'm going into so much detail. And whilst we were there was this lad sat behind us or in front of us, I can't quite remember. And they were just joking about and blah, blah, blah. Oh, look, there's Sigourney Weaver and just a pants, etc., etc. But the moment they jumped out the APC and went into the colony, and then you saw how fucked up everything was, absolute silence all the way through. So, you know what I mean? Those sudden twists can really get your attention. Yeah, so, no, it's cool. 1986. I am not a Lord of the Rings fan. Right, okay. Reported. So yeah, no, Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings means a lot to me. So when I do win these games, I know it's not going to be perfect, but I'm also going to have to swallow my ego and just accept the games for what they are. To be honest with you, I'm probably using most of the same players that I've been using in Traveller, and they've been playing Traveller pretty much spot on to me. I mean, there's the jokes. Of course, you're going to get jokes and people having a bit of a dick about, but no, I think it should be okay. So it's 26 minutes past 7. I think I've talked myself into a corner about getting emotionally involved in games. Has anybody got any comments or maybe their own opinions on that? Or have they got any questions that they want to chuck at me about anything whatsoever? Doesn't have to be about the theme of what I've been talking about this evening. I'm glad you had fun with it, Quantum. Looking at that, you had great fun with it. Good, because scary can be fun. You know what I mean? That kind of nervousness that it can build up. And the reason why I wrote those dark places the way that I did was so that the rules wouldn't get in the way of the tension. Because I didn't want to. Because when I first designed it back in 2009, and I was running games, they once you build up the tension about the story and the atmosphere, and then as soon as the mechanics kicked in, everything just slowed down to a crawl because people are looking at charts and tables and stats, and they're rolling dice and things are slowing down, and all that tension that you spent a couple of hours building up just gets sucked out of the game. And I think that's a real shame. So that's why I wrote those dark places the way that I did. The mechanics are intuitive and fast and easy, so you don't have to worry about those. You need to make the rules because that's the nature of the game, but I didn't want them to get in the way of anything else. So that's why I keep them going. Quantum, I think the player is dictating how it goes to an extent brings something new and unexpected to what you thought the game could be. It's part of the fun, though my experience is severely limited. No, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think players should take over. They shouldn't decide where the story goes, where the plot goes, or how things happen. You don't want to making stuff up on the spot just to benefit them. And that's happened to me a few times. Sorry, Magpie just went past. Good afternoon, Mr. Magpie. How are you today? Sorry, I'm British. So no, I think you're absolutely right. Sometimes the players, there's three things to me which decide the direction of a role-playing game. Dice rolls, of course, because whether you're successful or whether you fail, there's still a story to be told. Just because you failed a few rolls, you get to a dead end doesn't mean it's over. That just means you need to rethink the situation. In fact, failed rolls can create better situations. In my experience, they force players to be creative. The other thing, of course, is players' decisions. What they decide to do. I've had too many games where I've set up the situation and it sounds so bad. They've said, "Okay, we're not going in there. Then we're going to go back to the starport, or we're going back to the village." And I'll be like, "What? Why?" Well, you just told us it's called the Caverns of Crawling Bloody Death. So no, I'm good, thanks, dickhead. So yeah, you've got to be careful. But yeah, player decisions also drive it forward as well. And I quite like it when players make the right dramatic decision. Just for the sake of melodrama, for the not so much for the sake of the story, but for the sake of just the drama to keep it going. And the third one, of course, is GM fear. Now, GM fear is used quite a lot. The term's used quite a lot. I'm kind of using the term without really liking it, because if the GM basically says, "Okay, that didn't happen," or they fudge a roll and that sort of stuff, that can be really, really frustrating. But at the same time, really frustrating and dishonest, because then the players feel like they've been robbed of their agency, so to speak. They've been robbed of their decision making doesn't mean anything. So, but I think it's okay to use in situations such as the story's reached a dead end. The players haven't made a proper decision, or they can't make a decision, and the story's not going anywhere. Then, as a GM, sometimes I'll step in and say, "Okay, well, this has happened now, so, or that's changed, or this person's just turned up." And not trying to force the players or the group into a certain direction, but just open a few doors for them so that they've got places to go. A lot of the time when the players get themselves into corners, that's kind of my fault because I've allowed that to happen, and I should have given them an escape route. Basically, it doesn't always work, but sometimes GM fear is necessary just to keep the game moving forward. But using it, I wouldn't use it all the time. I am guilty of dice fudging. I would say that I did that. I was really bad for that in the 90s because I didn't want to upset my players, but I don't really do that anymore. I am now of the mind, let the dice fall where they will. It's the player. If you as a player are too reliant on the dice working for you, then it's going to work against you at some point. So your decision making and how you prepare up until those dice start rolling is what counts in my book. Am I making any sense? I don't think I'm making any sense. Melodrama equals story. Exactly. The Star Wars role-playing game from 1987 has got some fantastic advice in there, gem advice in there. I advise you to pick up the original 1987 Star Wars role-playing game just for the Games Master's advice about story, melodrama, character interaction, everything. So it's some of the best advice ever. That's not heresy. I've seen some... Oh, here we go. Let me just go back. The rules of how we have fun. You're absolutely right. I'm trying to make a teacher win without dice. Again, I get my... There's nothing wrong with that. Amber. Have you played Amber? is it Zelazny who wrote the Amber books? Am I horribly wrong? Give me a slap if I'm wrong. But yeah, they did the Amber role-playing game, and that was diceless. That was really, really good. There was another one as well called Neverwhere, I think it was called. Everway, that was it. Not Neverwhere. That was a Neil Gaiman story. But Everway, that was really, really good as well. But yeah, using cards. Yeah, there's loads of games that use cards. I've seen role-playing games that use coin flips to decide what happens, which is really, really cool. I'm a traditionalist though. If I play a game that's not got dice and is using a weird way, like, oh, how many rabbits can you kick? If it's using a weird way to decide how to, to resolve tasks, not weird, but a different way to resolve tasks, my mind sort of goes a bit weird because I can't think of the possibilities. It's the same with games with funny dice, like Fantasy Flight Games, Star Wars. They've got different symbol dice. And that was quite quirky and fun for the first time I played it. And then I just kind of get frustrated with it. I just wanted to roll dice and see what the numbers were. You know what I mean? I'm just a miserable old git, basically. I needed those people to get off my lawn. Dread's good. Use the Jenga Tower. Apparently, that's being used in the new Just Dread role-playing game, conveniently enough. But yeah, that was good. Castle Falkenstein, yeah, as well. Unisystem with a card mechanic. There's another game as well. I was looking at it the other day, which uses cards, and I can't remember what it is. How stupid! But yeah, different dice resolution for sure is my way to move forward. That's my choice. The only thing I've got with silly symbols on are the dice that I got, other than the Blade Runner dice, which I haven't actually played yet, which is ridiculous if you think about it. I quite like the dice that you get from the Alien role-playing game, because on the one dice it's a face hugger, which is kind of cool, and the other one it's like a tracking cross. Basically, that's just the number 6. They put the symbols on there as a gimmick. I think it's quite a really cool gimmick because the more involved, the more absorbed you get by the game, the better for sure. Let's pop those back there. So the Alien RPG dice are really, really good. Yeah, there's a new Just Dread game coming out. I don't know. I mean, I read about this last year, so I don't know. I don't know if it's come out and I've just missed it, or whether there's any progress on it. But I had the original Just Dread game from Games Workshop for the 1980s, and that was a proper whiffy game. You had low stats. It was a percentage roll. You started around about the 30%. It was a roll low mechanic, and yeah, it wasn't great. So all I did was just increase the stats and add an extra 30-40%. Or did I give them like increments of 10% to add to whatever they want? Anyway, whatever I did. So they were a lot more competent as judges. And then I realised that there was the mutation rolls. There's mutation parts in the actual rule book. So I ended up running Strontium Dog, a Strontium Dog campaign. Set well before the terrible Final Solution story. It was really good. So that was great fun. I got a nice campaign out of that, actually. I wrote stats for the Westinghouse, did stats as well for starships and all sorts. That was really, really cool. Strontium Dog. Yeah, I still don't accept that happened. It's terrible. It was a terrible, terrible way for him to go. After everything that he did, it was just ridiculous. I mean, I was already gutted after what happened to Wolf Sternhammer in Ragnarok. But then the benefit of that was Rage, the following story, which went on for 26 weeks, I think it was, of Johnny Alpha going after Bubba and his gang. That was one of the best stories ever. I mean, you want Western revenge porn. That's what you've got. That's actually fucking hell. Western revenge porn. That sounded really bad. I didn't mean it like that at all. It's like, you know what I mean? So it's just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely stunning piece of work. And of course, with the Carlos de Square's artwork, absolutely brilliant. Is that a case of GM fear? Well, I don't understand what you mean. Sorry, Quantum. No, I don't think it happened to. In fact, they went back, didn't they, and said that was a legend or something, and they actually carried him on. But there was just so much that you could do with Johnny Alpha. I think they can make an absolutely fantastic TV show out of that. Sadly, The Mandalorian's come along and kind of done the science fiction bounty hunting thing. but Johnny was there first. Johnny Alpha, absolutely brilliant, and it's very British as well. There's something very British about it. That kind of strange, quirky humour for the 1980s. It's a little bit cynical, a little bit dark, taking the mickey out of people in charge. It was just brilliant, just really, really, really good. Now that was, in fact, out of 2000 AD, and I collected 2000 AD for 18 years, and the rest. Johnny Alpha was my favourite by far. I love Judge Dredd, but with Judge Dredd, it's more about the city. It's more about the surroundings. He's like the straight man to the joke that the city is. Whereas Johnny Alpha was very much the protagonist. You know what I mean? He very much had a backstory. Because of his father, and the Krillmans, and the portrait of a mutant in there. It's just absolutely brilliant. Absolutely love him to bits. Fantastic character. I've gone off on a tangent now. I'm talking about British comics. Back to role playing. What time is it now? So we've still got 20 minutes. Like I say, if anybody's got any questions or want to chuck at me, then feel free. I don't know if you've noticed recently. I've just mentioned that I'm working on a new game. Well, I say I'm working on it. I've pretty much finished it. It was on the back burner for a while. I haven't been doing any writing for a couple of weeks for reasons, and I need to get back into the saddle. I need to get back on the horse. Back on the horse. I've already had my psych evaluation this week, Burke. I said no, and I mean it. So I need to get back on the horse, and so I've written a game which is basically Deep Space but fantasy. It's called Deep Magic. So again, it's going to be a 4-pager with its silly sort of old pulpish cover. How do you get back on the horse? With difficulty. I've not ridden a horse for 25 years. Ow. And so that'll be out. I don't know when I get the chance to get it all finalised and get it all properly drafted and have a few people have a look at it to see what they think. So that's coming out. I will be doing some more stuff for Deep Space, but I haven't fully decided yet exactly where I want to take it. I've got loads of adventures. I've got supplements and source books. And I think what I want to do right now, I think there's more than enough adventures. I think I want to create more stuff talking about the setting. But I've kind of shot myself in the foot because everything's like 2 to 4 pages. So I feel as though I'm cramming stuff in. So I think what I'm going to do, I'll still do that with Deep Space. But what I'm going to do with Deep Magic is charge £1 for a 4-page initial rule book and then expand on proper books, sort of 20, 30 pages with all the other stuff. So you get core rules for £1. You'll find it, you'll probably read it and go, actually, I'll do some more. And then there'll be larger books with more detailing to help with that. Pantomime horse, definitely the back. I'll beat me to it. Who do I play test my games with? It's a lot of the time it's experienced players. Sometimes I'll send them out to gamers that I've gamed with before or gamers that I trust, just for them to have a read through, just to see what they think. Because it's only rules light, so a lot of the time we don't need to play test. I can literally just sit here, roll a few dice to see if the mechanics work or what the probabilities are like, and then just take it from there. What I'll probably end up doing is I'll just send it out to. There is a gaming group which I've got, which I'll send games to, and they'll play test it for me and then send it back. I've not mentioned them in my productions because they've actually asked me not to. So one day when I'm famous and rich, I bet you they will then. But they send it back, and then with little notes or comments. I like constructive criticism. If it's a mechanical thing, then by all means tell me, this isn't working because, or that's not right because. Yeah, absolutely. Because when you're writing a game, you're quite close to it, and then sometimes those little things slip through the gaps. Even with rules like games, it happened for Definite with Pressure a couple of times. Those little things slip through the gaps. So come back with that. I need objective criticism, subjective criticism. I didn't like this because I'll listen to people what they tell me. If from a personal point of view, I personally didn't like this because a subjective opinion, because maybe I didn't think about it that way. But a lot of the time, I'll go, okay, thanks very much, but then sort of move on because I'm not designing the game to keep lots of people happy. I'll be honest with you, I'm trying to design a game to keep myself happy. because if I enjoy writing the game and it comes across on the pages, then other people hopefully will enjoy it too. And the moment I start writing to keep other people happy, I'm not actually writing a game. I'm just writing content. I don't really want to do that. So the short, sorry, I drifted off then. So the short answer to your question is yes, I do have dedicated playtest groups who'll sort me out. And sometimes I'll just go online and do it. I'll just, like with Infinite Monkey Tales, I did a Deep Space game with them. The game was out at the time, but there was a couple of things which I hadn't got squared up in my own head. So I ended up running the game with them. And yeah, it sort of, I made my decision when I originally ran the game for them, going off on another tangent. When I originally designed the game, it's roll a d12 and roll less than your skill score, or equal to or less than your skill score. But the opposed rolls were roll high. So you add your skill score to the d12 roll, where it rolls highest wins, and you re-roll ties. And I kind of, in my head, I kind of like the difference between the two. So if it's just a normal skill roll, you have to roll low. And if it's an opposed roll, you have to roll high. And, you know, that's what sort of kept them two separate, so you knew what you're doing. And then in my head, that sounded great. But when I was actually running the game, I was like, actually, no, I should have just kept this uniform. And that's why I actually changed the rules. I went to a roll high for everything. So instead of equal to or less than your target, than your skill number is a success, you had to roll a d12, add your skill score, and then the target number was 13 or more. I put that first into Night Stalkers when I wrote that, was it Department X? No, it's definitely Night Stalkers when I wrote that, which is out now. And then changed it over in Deep Space. It was a better mechanic, and I think it works better as well. And then I wrote another game called Be Silent, Ship of Death, but I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do with it, and what kind of story I wanted to tell. I mean, it's only short. It's not really a story. It's more of an incident. It's more of an incident, an encounter. So I ran that game with Boys from the Baltic Star, and I just really, really enjoyed it. So I kind of just left it as it was. I was kind of they kind of the way that they played through the game kind of convinced me to leave it the way that I designed it, and then I released it as it was. So yeah, playtesting is important. But to be honest with you, you can playtest too much. You can playtest something into the ground, and you can playtest it so much that you are going to break it and crack it. And then when you break it, you see that as a flaw, whereas you didn't actually. It's not actually a flaw. You broke it on purpose because you playtested it to death. So you don't have a chair made and then repeatedly smash it with a hammer and it breaks, and you go, obviously the chair's fault, isn't it? No, it's not. You get hit with a hammer, you dick. So no, it's that's a weird analogy. So yeah, so there you have it. Anyway, that's what I think. I'm going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes because my throat's getting hoarse. Recommendations. Have I got any recommendations for you these days? Well, I can recommend going back to your old games. There we go. Role-playing games. Go back if you ever wondering what to do next with a role-playing game. Go back to some of your old games. Go back to what you enjoyed about role-playing in the first place. Like I used to go back to Basic Dungeons and Dragons and White Box and that sort of stuff because that's what got me into it. And now I'm going back 20 years and going back to Decipher's. What am I looking up there for? Put it here. I'm going back to Decipher's Lord of the Rings because I'm just taking a step back. I'm trying to recapture. I'm not trying to relive it, but I'm trying to recapture what I enjoyed about role playing back then, what got me excited about it. Quantum, that's interesting. I come from a video game background, so I literally play testing to the ground, smash his chair with hammer repeatedly. Well, you've got to. It's a completely different medium. With role playing game, it's interpretation, and it's a lot of the time it's subjective how you feel about it. Only objective stuff is when you roll on the dice, of course, and how the mechanics work. But with computer games, it's literally, will the game break if I do this? If my character walks across that wall, will he clip and then crash the game? So yeah, you are playtesting. It's a completely different way of doing things. So yeah, but no, I've helped playtest video games before, and oh my god, it was so boring. I'm literally just, I'm going to run along this road and jump on every single part of the road. Oh my god, what's going on? I didn't do that for long. That was a long time ago. But yeah, video games, it needs that kind of testing because it's not just mechanically, it's not just story wise, it's not just the way the game hangs together. It's what do you call it? It's the system. It's the way the game works. It's the actual programming. Will it hold together? Will it crash? Will you fall through the floor? Will your character suddenly go all weird and stretchy in lots of different directions? I'm looking at you, Fallout 76. So, yes, you've got to be careful. I think playtesting sometimes with some games is a little bit overrated. I created a game called the High Five System. Never playtested it once. Not once. Probably said I did. I probably played it with people, but I never actually sat down and playtested it. What I wrote was what I designed. That was basically almost first draft stuff because it bloody worked. And I knew it worked because they used a similar system in Shadowrun. Basically, you roll a bunch of D6 and any dice that comes up a 5 or a 6 is deemed a success. So that's what I did. I took 3 stats. I wanted to keep it dead simple. So combat, command and control. So fighting, charisma and agility and physical movements and stuff like that. You get given hit points, and you get given some stats and a big gun, and you go off and shoot stuff in the face. Fun for all the galaxy. And didn't play test it once. And it works. And it works. And yeah, people have got in touch and saying, try this, try that, change this, change that. And so I made it not open source, but I said to people, if you want to change stuff, knock yourselves out. There's loads you can do with the High Five system. If you buy it, just knock yourselves out. I did have it under OGL, but after that absolute fiasco with OGL last year with Wizards of the Coast, I dropped it. I took the OGL off it because I didn't trust it, basically. And then I was going to go Creative Commons, but apparently the Creative Commons doesn't work in every country, and I want to make it as accessible to people as possible. So I'm telling you now, on video, live, if you go to a website and you've bought the High Five system, either Fire Team or Cyber Streets, that system, just use it. Just do something with it. Take it, run with it, design something. I know people who want to use it for their own games, and there's actually a publisher who's actually got it at the moment. He's actually got some games on the burner using as High Five games that he's designed. I'd love to see them out in the wild. I don't design these games to stay inside cages. They're not little birds inside little wicker cages. I want to set them free. I want them to go out and either get used by everybody else or get killed by a large predator. So yeah, brilliant. Look, the High Five system was designed to be fast and furious and a lot of fun, and I think it is. And I've run some games with it, and I've had great fun with it. I think I ran a Warhammer 40k game again with Infinite Monkey Tales, and it worked. It just worked. You can adjust the stats slightly to make it work for you. You can change the skills. You can the number of dice that you're using. It's just great fun. Not a super predator from the Predator Shirley. Don't call me Shirley. No, because the problem with the super predator in the Predator, the film, was that it was shit. So there you go. I was so upset with that film. I don't like to be negative on stuff, but yeah, I was upset with that film. But Prey, on the other hand, absolutely fantastic. I'm even a big fan of Predators. The one on the other planet when they're all being hunted on another world. Good characters, to be honest with you, and it gave me what I wanted as a Predator fan. Good fun. But yeah, Prey was absolutely fantastic. I think Prey was what I've been waiting for since Predator 2, for a Predator film, something like that. Just absolutely fantastic. No, Predator 2 is good. They swear a lot, which is a bit weird, and it's very, 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 very visual. But Predator 2 is actually quite good, and I like the way that they jump from the jungle to the urban jungle. So I think that's probably what made it work. So yeah, Prey is brilliant, and apparently he's working on another one now, but I can't remember what it was. Was it No Man's Land? Trouble is, though, there's so many fake fan shit out there at the moment with crappy AI. It's difficult to determine what's real and what's not. Somebody came up with one idea though, saying if you want to make movie gold, then set it in sort of Edo period Japan, and there's a samurai who's going after a predator because it killed his master and he failed to protect him. So to get his honor back, he's gone after the predator. Take my money, bitch! God almighty, I would watch that. I would watch the shit out of that. That would be amazing. Filmed in the style of Akira Kurosawa. Could you imagine that? Predator film like that. Absolutely brilliant. It'd be absolutely brilliant. It is. It's a great idea. The great thing about Predator is you can set it wherever you want. I once ran a game using Twilight 2000 set in Vietnam War, And the way that I introduced them to the game, was just a normal military game set in 1968. And they went in the special forces, and they were said, "Look, you've got to go to the border of Cambodia because there's somebody out there, and it's killing all the men. It's just killing people, and we think it's one of our boys." And there's about 2 or 3 of them, and they've clicked. You've got to get out of there because if he goes over the border into Cambodia, starts killing people there, it's going to cause problems for us. So they all go in, and they're doing the classic tracking him down, trying to hunt, and then they'll get into some problems with some locals, and then there's a big ambush, and there's a big fight, and then they finally track down this guy, and he's basically insane. He's gone insane, but he's not actually killed anybody. It's because this thing's been hunting him, but it hasn't killed. The predator hasn't killed him because he's going further and further, and he's basically, because he's there as an operational special forces, he knows where he's investigating where all these reported Viet Cong bases and sort of caches are. So he's basically leading the predator to these places, and the predator's killing them all because that's what he does, but letting him live so that he can then run off and then lead him to the next place. So at the end of the first game, them finding the guy and him being a little bit mental, so they were basically saying, "Okay, we've got to get back to base." And then the next game started with that guy getting blown apart by a laser, and then going, "What the hell's going on?" And then, there's the shimmer, there's the predator, and they're all like, "Oh, it's a predator game! Oh, we just thought we were just playing a historical one." It was great fun. There's a fan movie on YouTube set in I think it's on Iwo Jima. It's on it's during the European Theatre of Operations, and the Americans have got onto one of the Japanese held islands, and there's a whole bunch of GIs, and there's a Japanese soldier there as well, and the predator's there because it's hot, and people are fighting, so of course he's going to be there. Absolutely brilliant. Really, it's really, really good. I do like them a lot. There's another one as well, Dark Ages, I think it is, and they're in a hot area in the Middle East, I think, and they're all knights from the Crusades, and the predators come down to basically fight everybody hand to hand because that's what the predator does. No, it's really good. Find it. Predator fan films, they're all over the place. So what? It's 5 to 8. So I think I'm going to wrap up in just a few minutes. I would love to do a Predator game. I think Predator actually would make a pretty good role-playing game. There's loads of role-playing games that I'd like to say. I'd like to see a Predator one because literally do it the way that I've just explained it. You could have the system set up to reflect different time periods, and then you can just do one-shots because you know it's going to be the Predator at the end of the day. And that's what made the Alien role-playing game really good, was because you know it's going to be the Alien or some form of Alien or something to do with that. So why not do it with the Predator? And then you set up the story. You set up its own plots, its own internal mechanisms, what's happening, where it's set. But then the factor is the Predator's there as well. So it could be really, really good. Can you imagine the Predator during Regency? That'd be fantastic. Or Mr. Darcy, have a large hole in your chest. So that'd be absolutely, absolutely fantastic. Another game I'd like to see is Max Headroom. Remember of course the character, but not his sort of presenter character, but the TV show which they made. There's about 13 episodes set in a sort of dystopian cyberpunk future. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see a Max Headroom show. That'd be really, really good. Max Headroom role-playing game. I'd love to see a Space Above and Beyond role-playing game. I'd write that. Because as far as TV shows, Mr. Ben RPG, God damn it, David, that would work on so many levels. It's crazy. You're literally just saying, walk through this door, it's a new adventure. With your hat on. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, Space Above and Beyond. Space Above and Beyond, I think, would make a fantastic role-playing game. It got cancelled far too early. It still had legs. And it was just a great show. It was just a really, really good show. And I wish they'd done a second. It's a shame it got cancelled, but hey, Fox. It's a shame it got cancelled. But I think its background and everything was excellent, and I think it would make a really good role-playing game. Believe it or not, Sequest DSV. Now, it wasn't my favourite show. It was a bit of fun every Saturday afternoon, to be honest with you, and you got a little bit of a lesson at the end of every show. Oh, look, this is a manatee. It poops gold. I don't know, and that'd be really, really good. I'd like to see a Sequest DSV game. That'd be really, really good. Yeah, a Jerry Anderson UFO RPG would be brilliant. In fact, Jerry Anderson in general, if you just did a generic Jerry Anderson show, and so that you can adapt it to suit your favourite show. So I would definitely do Thunderbirds, and I would 100% do Captain Scarlet for sure, because that'd just be absolutely fantastic fun. Quantum Leap RPG, yes, that'd be really, really good. That might, again, you're talking about going into different time periods within your lifetime. I think that'd be actually really, really good, especially if you based it on your own life, on your own experiences. I've got a game here called. I've got a game here called The End of the World. It's done by Fantasy Flight Games a few years ago. They did quite a few End of the World. There was an apocalypse one. There was a zombie one. I got the alien invasion one. Well, they sent me the alien invasion one to review. And it's actually really good. But the way it works is you're creating yourself. You're not creating a character. This is you in this world when things go tits up. And the way that you do it is everybody around the table who knows you decides on what your stats are going to be based on what they know about you. And then you have to actually, what you've got on you as equipment, you've got to choose from what's around you in the house at that particular time. So just before everything goes tits up. And it's actually really, really good. I only got to play it twice. It's really good. You can create your own characters if you want to and use it as a straightforward role-playing game. But as sort of a one-off, almost like a party game. Yeah, I'll put that away in a minute. As a one-off kind of party game, yeah, it was really, really impressive. And you could do that with Quantum Leap. Quantum Leap RPG, X-Files. X-Files for sure. There was a game out in the 1990s called Conspiracy X, which was really, really good. I wasn't 100% sold on the system, but the setup and everything, it was basically X-Files with the serial numbers filed off. Still very good. But then, of course, there is my own X-Files version called Department X for sale right now on our website. You'll find the link in the description below. What else have we got? Survivors, Plague Wipes Out 99% of the world, great post-apocalyptic show. Yeah, it was a really good show. Didn't they do a remake of that about 10, 15 years ago? But yeah, Survivors was really, really good. You could use Twilight 2000 for that, or something similar. Yeah, Twilight 2000 would work for that. A Boy and His Dog RPG now. Yeah, Mad Max. A Mad Max RPG would be quite cool. That'd be really, really good. Conspiracies are less fun now. Yeah, conspiracies are fun now because people, it's actually affects, instead of it just being a bunch of crackpots or some wild theories, it's actually affecting people's lives now. It's kind of ruined it slightly. The remake was woke crap. Of what? Of the Survivors? I don't know. I don't subscribe to the woke stuff. It's either good or it's not. They didn't finish it off. Oh shit! Yeah, Mad Max would be really, really good. Aftermath. Yeah. Fallout. Now, how's Fallout as a game? Fallout. You were playing that. I've watched. What am I talking about? You've been playing that on Saturdays, haven't you? Infinite Monkey Tales. That's. But I've not seen much of the system, so I want to see more of the system. I wouldn't mind getting hold of that. What else have we got? What time's it now? It's 8:00 now. Yeah, it's good. It's a good. Looks like a good game. I've got the TV show coming out next Friday, April the 12th. Is it April the 12th? It's Friday. See, I don't mind the 2D20 game, 2D20 system. It's actually not that bad. I quite like it in Dune. Actually, it works quite nicely for Dune. It's yeah, I know, with the special hit locations. That's really, really cool. I've not tried Stalker at all. Tied to the Stalker computer games, yeah. I need to check that out. I need to find out more about that. Post-apocalyptic can be really, really good. It can be a lot of fun. But I prefer to do it in sort of. I designed a game called The 13th Year, and it was as if basically the conceit was that Hitler had actually developed nuclear weapons, atomic weapons, and given some to Japan. So when they realised they were going to lose, they just launched them all over the world. So what you've got is a post-apocalyptic 1950s. It's a post-apocalyptic 1952. So yeah, the world got wiped out in 1945, and then yeah, and now people are starting to slowly rebuild. I have to think that actually I might actually turn that into a game, because it was originally in my sketch system from a long time ago. I love a piece against all the series, yeah. I think I'm going to end it there actually, because it's now 2 minutes past 8, and Reich starts off with Nazis. Japanese World War III independent players play freedom fighters fighting the Nazis. I remember seeing advertisements for that in the 1990s. I'm sure I remember seeing those in magazines. But any excuse to punch Nazis in the face, let's be honest. So, yeah. Right, I'm going to call it a night then. Just after 8 o'clock. So I'm going to take off. Unless anybody's got any more questions, I'm going to give it another couple of minutes. Thanks for coming along and checking it out. I do appreciate your time and your efforts. And I appreciate people getting involved in the chat as well. It makes it worthwhile. That's it. Thanks for the stream. RX Oliver, that was my pleasure. Okay, I'm definitely going to say I'll say goodnight to everybody, and I'll see you next time. I don't know how regular my videos are going to be these days. I haven't lost a passion for it, but I've got too many people telling me what I should be doing, and I'm literally just doing this as a bit of fun. I'm not here to create a studio or to do it professionally or do editing. No, I haven't got a staff. I've got a camera with a built-in microphone. That's all I need. So I don't know. I'll see how I feel next time. I was going to say that I'm trying to write a comedy. We'll say that for next time. I tried that. I wrote a game called What's Up, Dudes, and it's basically a science fiction comedy game. I didn't quite know what I was doing, so I ended up giving it away for free. You'll find that on the Farsight Games website as well. Okay, I'm going to say goodnight. So thanks everybody, and I'll see you next time. Good night. Sorry, I did that wrong. Thanks for coming, everybody. It was an absolute pleasure. Ta-ra. See, I've done it again. I've clicked it, and now it's got another screen. And it said, you stop immediately and no longer be live. So I'm going to do that again. Not yet. Right. So I'll do this properly this time. So thanks for coming, everyone. Ta-ra.